Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Russ. I'm the middle school pastor here, and so that means shameless middle school plugs, because I get to say whatever I want when I'm up here. I'm unregulated. All right, so we have this event called March Mayhem coming up on March 15th, technically the 16th too, because it's 10 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. At the Edge in Williston. So our group of middle school kids, plus friends, plus a whole bunch of other middle school kids from around the area, we rent out the Edge in Williston, and we combine all-you-can-eat pizza with swimming and a turf field, and nothing could go wrong. Yeah, it's great. They're a great combination. It's like you eat as much as you possibly can, then you swim, then you eat as much as you possibly can, then you run around a lot. It's awesome. Yes, not volatile combination whatsoever. So if you're surprised to see me up here, I love surprises. If you're new here, you're like, I don't know that guy. Most people don't know me, so it's a surprise. Everyone's excited, right? I love surprises. And so getting ready to speak here today, I'm sorry, I skipped you. We're going to collect our morning offering. Don't laugh, Mario. It's not a joke. I messed up. So our ushers are going to come on forward like they're supposed to. And if you're a guest with us today, we want this service to be a gift to you. If you are somebody who gives regularly, thank you so much for providing this gift for our friends and for giving us the opportunity to be here. You make ministry happen, so thank you so much. Am I supposed to pray now, Mario? Can I just keep going? Am I good? I'm just going to keep going then. All right, cool. Yeah. I've only messed up offering every time I've taught. I haven't gotten it right one time. Man. Anyways, surprises, right where I left off. So, I love surprises. Getting ready to speak here today, my wife was like, you should probably get a haircut. I was like, I'd love that. I'd love a haircut. And I thought she would give me a haircut, but she's like, I don't want to give you a haircut. And so my parents were coming up, and my dad loves cutting hair. So she's like, let's just have your dad cut your hair. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then I was like, hey, Dad, will you cut my hair? And he says, I think your mom would be better at cutting your hair. My mom hasn't cut my hair in like 25 years. Last time she gave me a haircut, it was a mushroom cut. You guys remember mushrooms? Yeah. But anyways, it was also terrifying. And I had no idea what was going to happen because she kept pointing at things around my head because my dad was like spectating. And she kept pointing with the scissors. And I was like, the whole time I was like, please, I need my eyes. And it was terrifying. But it was like, if she messes it up, I'll just buzz it. And I'll just have to live with a buzzed head for a little bit because hair always grows back. But she did a great job. Thank you. She's here, so thank you, Mom. All right? Great job. Yeah. Clap for that. But it's not just haircuts. I love surprises all across the board, except if they're bad surprises, but we'll get into that later. So part of working with middle school students and students in general is we get to go to camp. And my first time bringing kids to camp, working with students, not here, I went to this Young Life camp, and they have like a snack shop. Every camp has a snack shop where like you could buy like snacks, like soft pretzels and all sorts of stuff like that. But this one camp had a milkshake called the Happy Camper. I was like, how can you go wrong with a name like a Happy Camper? And the description was, it's a surprise with a song. And I was like, a song? And so I was like, I'll have one Happy Camper, please. And it's just a whole bunch of high school kids working behind the counter. All of a sudden, they start like slamming the table and like singing this song, and like the jars of candy are opening, they're spilling because they're slamming the table so hard, singing about being a happy camper. And then I get my milkshake, and it tastes like hot sauce because what a happy camper is, they just throw whatever into the milkshake that they want to. The base ingredient is like the ice cream that they're going to blend up, and everything else is just whatever they want. And so I was like, this is the best. I love this. It's disgusting. And I came back with some of my friends. I was like, I'll have 4 happy campers for me and my friends. And not only do you get the 4 happy campers, but you get the song 4 times. And it's awesome. It's super embarrassing. It's the best. And then, so like it tastes like pickle juice. Yeah, like pepper. Like, it's just the most disgusting milkshakes you've ever had. And it was amazing. I love surprises. So the only time I don't like surprises is when they're lame. And I'm not a good actor. So when a surprise is lame, like if someone brings me something, hey, I got you this, I'm like, I just don't want that at all. Like, I'm happy you surprised me, but it's bad. So I took my middle school students from here to another Young Life camp, And they had a happy camper too. No song, so it started off bad. I was upset from the beginning, but it was still a surprise. But they made a camp rule that there could only be ice cream and candy in the happy camper. I'm like, what's the point? If I know I'm going to enjoy it, there's no surprise. And it made me really upset. I was like, no song, no surprise. It was delicious, and I was upset by that. But I love getting other people in on the surprises when I like to surprise myself, because it brings other people joy as well. You don't know how much you like a surprise till you get to surprise somebody. So I was at New Moon with some of my friends, and I got the all-you-can-drink coffee, the bottomless coffee, whatever. It's like the drip coffee. And so I went up to the counter, and I got drip coffee, and I saw which one the guy put in, and I was like, nice, keep track of that for later. So I started drinking it, and I don't do dairy, okay? And so it's just, plain old coffee, nothing, no attachments. And I come back later to get my refill, it's bottomless, and the girl behind the counter, who wasn't the same person before, says, what do you want? And I go, surprise. And she goes, oh, surprise? I'll give you my favorite. And I was like, oh, yeah, her favorite. This is going to be awesome. And she walks over, and she fills up my cup with the same exact coffee I had before. And I was like, no, I had that coffee before. But I played it cool. I was like, oh, thanks. I took it and walk away. But I was disappointed because I wasn't surprised. I knew exactly what was coming. So some of you may have not been here before. And some of you have been around for a long time. And I'm going to share with you a couple passages from the Bible that you may have heard before, but in the theme of surprises, would you act surprised like you've never heard this story before? Okay, so put on your surprise hat and get ready to view this story like you've never heard it before. So if you've never heard it before, you're already winning, okay? If you've heard it before, start pretending with me, and we're going to be surprised together. All right, so the book is Luke 5, 12 through 16. Take your time turning to it, all right? If you have a Bible, feel free to open it up. If not, I'm going to put it on the screen, and I'm going to read it, and you can read it and listen to it, and that's like one of the 4 things you could do to remember something, right? I can't remember what else my teacher said. I think you have to eat it. But there's something about remembering if you read it and listen and something else. So while you're opening there, Luke 5, 12 through 16, I want to give you a couple notes before we get into it, just so you know what we're about to talk about. So we have 2 people we're going to see in the story. First, we have Jesus. Jesus is God. He's walking around earth. He's performing miracles. And Jesus is true to Scripture, and he's real historically. So this is a real guy. Secondly, and he hasn't done much to this point. So he's just started his ministry. He has a couple disciples. You find out later he has like 12 disciples that are like his closest friends. He's like training them. So he has a couple disciples. He's healed a couple people, and he's been rejected from his hometown. So that's pretty much all he's done at this point, besides lived through like early life, right? He hasn't started his ministry yet. So that's where Jesus is. The second person we're going to see in the story is somebody with leprosy. Now you're saying, what's leprosy? We don't have that around today. I'm going to say you're correct, because we have vaccines for that. So you don't really see it anymore, but it's a really terrible disease. So what happens is the nerves in your body start to die, and you can't feel pain. And my initial thought is, yeah, superhero Russ, can't feel anything, right? I can fight anybody. I can fight super villains and all that stuff, and I can't feel a thing. But it's not cool. I thought it was cool at first, not cool. So what happens is if you get like a wound or something, or you burn yourself, or a paper cut, you don't realize you have any of these problems because you can't feel it. Then you don't take care of it, it gets infected, gangrene or whatever. And so if you had leprosy, you're covered in open sores, you're pretty gross, you probably smell like rotting flesh, you might be missing some like digits or like, an arm or something. And it's a super lonely disease. So people at this time thought that you can catch it just from breathing, like in the same air somebody else did. It transferred via the air, which isn't true. But that's what they believed at this time. So your mom and dad would be like, hey, get out of here. We don't want to catch it too. So everybody is kicking you out. You're living on the outskirts of society. You can't get a job because who wants, if they believe that you could spread it from just breathing, they don't want you touching food or like anything. So it's a really lonely disease. And I think one of the worst parts about it, too, is that your brain is completely intact. And so you're seeing your body start to deteriorate in front of you. And with each with each missing digit or each open sore, you're seeing your life come that much closer to ending. And I was trying to think of like what comparable illness that we can relate to that today. And I was thinking, I don't know if you guys have ever met anybody who has ALS, but my neighbor had it, and super physically active guy, then all of a sudden like his body just started shutting down a little bit at a time, arms, legs, and your brain is completely intact for that. So you're seeing with each limb that's going out, your life is coming to an end. And so seeing your demise coming is very much like this leper. So with all that said, we're going to pick up Luke 5, 12 through 16. I'm going to read it. I might take a couple timeouts to talk about stuff and follow along. So while Jesus was in one of the towns, a man came along who was covered with leprosy. When he saw Jesus, he fell with his face to the ground and begged him, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. 1 second. Gross, okay? Like, this guy is covered in leprosy, and Jesus is like, hey, right? The guy's still covered in leprosy, and Jesus is touching him. And the first thing I thought of, because I'm always trying to view this through like a middle school lens, because I want to like relate with my middle school friends. And I go to Williston Central School Park all the time. And they have these like green bag dispensaries for when you're walking your dog. And so you take one when you're walking your dog. And so when your dog does your business, you stick your hand in the bag and you reach down and you pull up with the business and then you tie it up. And I'm like, your hand's going to come away clean in the end, but that's disgusting. And for me, I don't own a dog right now. I would just be like, well, it's just going to biodegrade there anyways, right? So I think it's super gross. Jesus touched the guy while he was super dirty, covered in like open sores and stuff. Super disgusting. "I am willing," he said, "be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him. Then Jesus ordered him, don't tell anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer sacrifices that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them. Yet the news about him spread all the more, so that the crowds of people came to hear him and to be healed of their sicknesses. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. So Jesus touches this guy before he's healed. And something else I was thinking about is like, how long has it been since this guy's been touched? If this guy has had leprosy for any amount of time, no one is touching him. Everyone's staying away from him. Even if you have leprosy, you're like, I don't want to touch that guy. What if I get extra leprosy, like leprosy 2.0? And so one of the things that came to my mind is there was like these YouTube videos that were popular a little while ago of these people who had color blindness for their whole lives. And they get these like special glasses, and they put these glasses on that let them see the full range of colors. And in every single video, it doesn't matter if it was like a little kid or if it was an 80-year-old, same reaction every time. They put the glasses on, and they can't even control their emotions. They're just like, blah, because it's so overwhelming having that, like seeing all the colors for the first time, seeing what you've been missing out on. And I feel like that's exactly what this guy's going through in this moment. Like, Jesus touches him. Who knows how long it's been since he's been touched? I know he can't really feel very much, but just like the act of someone laying their hand on you would just, I can't imagine the emotions this guy probably went through. This guy, simple problem, right? Leprosy, simple solution. Jesus is going to heal my leprosy. What's Jesus do? Jesus lays his hand on him, lets it rest there, and then he instructs the guy to go follow the law of Moses. So what's that mean? The guy's going to go to the authority of the day and follow the instructions for the authority to be like, this guy is good to go. He could come back into society. He could walk around. He's clean. And so now what's he have the ability to do? He has the ability to go live with his family. He can go give somebody a hug. He can give somebody a high five. He can share a snack or a drink with somebody and not worry about giving them leprosy. He can have a sense of purpose and a job in the community. He can have clean clothes, right? Like imagine if you're covered in sores all the time, the clean clothes. Once you put those on, they'd just be tainted again. They probably smell really bad. And so he could wear clean clothes. They could stay clean. He can feel the warmth of the sun. This is the Middle East. You know, he's probably been missing out on that for a long time. Imagine going out in the sun and just never feeling anything. You're like, I'm always cold. I know some of you like that. Always cold, even when it's warm. So like the texture of food, like the warmth of food. So the leper's idea was simple. He was like, I'm going to go to Jesus with my problem of leprosy, and I'm going to be healed. But Jesus gave him a nice surprise. I call it the Jesus special. Because this guy came to Jesus with a simple problem, for the simple solution, and Jesus ended up giving this guy a full life. He never expected any of this stuff. It was the best surprise he could possibly get. And the leper says to Jesus, he says, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus says, I am willing. In Hebrews 13:8, I don't have it up there, I'm just going to read it to you guys. It says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. So if Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, that means that if he was willing, it's not just like he was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. He's willing, all right? So if he was willing to heal this leper then, that means he's willing to heal us right now and tomorrow. And so I've never had leprosy, but I've had some serious problems in my life where I've needed Jesus. So my dad was never a dog person, all right? I don't know if you can tell. But I eventually got a dog when I was 8 years old. I had him for 9 years. I love this dog so much. His name is Colby. He was also he was like a gentle mute dog. He wasn't actually mute, but every time he'd bark, he'd scare himself. And so it was like he barked like 8 times. It was like he never barked. It was pretty funny. And so we had this dog. I loved him so much. And my dad comes in, wakes me up one morning, and he says, I let Colby out early in the morning, and he hasn't come back. We had to go look for him. And it had been raining, and Colby was really old at this point. He had some arthritis going on. When it would rain, he wouldn't be able to move as freely. And so I was like, oh, man, he's out in the rain. He's probably stuck somewhere. His limbs probably locked up. So we take off looking for him. I'm running all around the neighborhood, looking everywhere. Can't find him anywhere. I go to my grandma's house to have a good cry for a little bit because, she'll cry with me. And then keep looking around. Can't find him anywhere. I'm like, I'm done. I can't find this dog anywhere. I have no idea where he is. My dad goes out one more time, and he goes, and he actually finds Colby. He's laying down behind my neighbor's garage. He's just stuck there. He just can't move. And where he was, I had passed him over and over again. I probably didn't look right at him, but just where he was, I couldn't see him, and he wasn't going to make a noise. He just didn't bark. And so seeing Colby wrapped up in a blanket for like the last day of his life, just sitting in my living room, messed me up. Another time was when my brother got divorced not too long ago, and seeing him broken, not knowing how to talk to him about it, not knowing how to talk to him about the way I feel, not knowing how to tell him that I love him, or not knowing how to process my feelings, and seeing him spiral into a depression, and then me spiraling into a depression of my own, and we just can't even talk about it. What would it look like for Jesus to heal me and give me the Jesus special? I come to him like, I have these real problems, Jesus. I need help. But what would it also look like if I was like, Jesus, Jesus, I need help knowing how to talk to my brother about his divorce. Like, I want to help him. I don't know what to do. And then Jesus is like, I'm not that into it today. But Hebrews 13:8 says Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So that means he will be into it, right? He's willing. And so I want to give you a real-life example of something that just happened. I have 3 children now. I know. I'm an adult. And we've rounded out. We have a girl, so we're done. All right? We got her. We got her, ladies and gentlemen. Got him. So I've never been sick more in my life until I had kids in school. So I have a kindergartner and I have a preschooler. And so Owen went to kindergarten, got sick, and then Owen and Eli wrestle. Eli got sick. Then we tried to quarantine the baby. We're like, all right, no-go zone, baby's room, right? Then all of a sudden my wife gets sick. Then the baby gets sick. And then I was holding out. I was like, you won't get me sickness. And then I got sick, and I was like, no. And then the sickness was so proud of itself, it took a victory lap and started over again. And it was awful. It was awful. I'm pretty sure all you guys have gone through the same thing at this point. The sickness has gone everywhere. It's doing a great job at what it does. So the worst part about being sick was seeing we have a newborn baby, all right? I don't know how old she is, a couple months, right? 3 months, yeah, 3 months old. Not yet. She's probably like 2.5, something like that, yeah. So she's still a baby. The baby phase lasts a long time, I found out. So seeing the baby not be able to breathe is really upsetting. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. A baby not breathing is really disturbing to you. And she couldn't sleep. She's like so stuffy, and you know she wants to like cough or sneeze or clear her throat, but she doesn't know how to do any of that stuff. And it's really heartbreaking to see that. So I was just like, Jesus, would you give my baby the ability to breathe? And I never expected what happens when your baby can all of a sudden start breathing. So the baby got better, and none of us did. But what happens when the baby starts to breathe? All of a sudden, mommy sleeps. Daddy sleeps. Yeah, all right, I'll take that. And then the boys have a patient mommy and daddy, right? Not sleep-deprived, impatient mommy and daddy. Then the house is getting clean. How's this happening? And then and the boys are actually eating real meals. So my wife and I tried to come up with like names for the things that we created for our boys to eat when we were sick. There was this one like cauliflower pasta cut up hot dog combination. It was gross. I ate it though. I wasn't making something else. That was good for the time. I wouldn't eat it again. But even the simple thing of like, would you make my baby not stuffy, could give us a fuller life than I ever imagined. I just wanted my baby to be able to breathe. I thought that would be good enough. So what if we pray like this all the time, not just about like a baby being stuffy, but about every single thing we come across in our life? I got another passage for you guys. It's Luke 8:40 through 48. Also, a couple quick hitting notes before we start actually reading it. This is shortly after the first passage. The only difference is Jesus is traveling more. He's getting really well known. Everybody knows about him. There's not a single person left, because what happened is Jesus says, hey, leper that I healed, don't go tell anybody about this. But the leper who was once like super unclean and disgusting is now walking around. People are like, whoa, look at that. Look at your skin. It's so nice, right? Because like a skin once covered in sores is all of a sudden nice and healed. So word's spreading like crazy. A whole bunch of stuff has happened. Jesus has a huge following, and we'll see that in the passage. So I'm going to start reading. Luke 8:40 through 48. Now when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him. And I have to pause there because this disturbs me. Because I saw this documentary not too long ago about this sporting event. I think it was a soccer match that was really poorly designed of like how to funnel crowds. And it's called The Crush. It's because people funneling in the stadium were coming too fast for how much people could like exit. And so people were literally crushed to death in the stadium. And it disturbed me so much, it scarred me for life. And so every time I'm in like a group setting like this, I'm like, if there's an emergency, am I dead? Am I going to be able to make it out? Am I going to be crushed? And so my preschooler had a winter concert at his preschool, and he was going to sing Jingle Bells. And I risked my life to see him sing Jingle Bells because it was a dance room. My wife tells me that maximum occupancy was 60 people. This dance room had like well over 200 people in it. It was packed. It was packed. And there were two doors. I was kind of near one of the doors, and I was like, this is it. This is how I go. Jingle Bells is the last thing I'll ever hear. Because I was like, if there's an emergency, everyone's going to rush me, and I'm going to panic, in your dreams when you're like trying to run, but you can't. I feel like it was going to be real life. I was like, my legs aren't going to work. I'm going to trip or slip, and that's it. So, and you guys are not like crowds, been in a crowd, you're like, ooh, I don't like this. Guess none of you. But I'm there. It didn't used to bother me at all until I saw The Crush. You know what? Don't watch the documentary. Don't watch it at all. It's messed up. Then you'll end up like me. So, where were we? Yes, of course. Oh, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. Some versions say she spent everything she had. She spent her life savings. So this woman's completely hopeless. She's out of funds for doctors. She's hopeless. So she came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. Who touched me? Jesus asked. When they all denied, Peter said, Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you. But Jesus said, someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me. Another time out really quick. I'm like, how, Jesus? How do you know that power had gone out from you? Do you have a power level? I'm like, does he have like an Apple Watch that says like 90% depleted, right? Like, how do you know that power has been depleted? He has to have some sort of like gauge, like Google Glass or something. It's like somehow he knows. Then I was thinking about this. I couldn't let it go. I just kept thinking about it. It was like on my mind. I was like, how does Jesus know that power has been depleted, right? And then I realized I've been married for a couple years. And my wife, if you know my wife, she is like a physical fitness and nutrition robot. And so she'll say things like, she never just says, I'm hungry. It's always followed by like, I'm hungry for carbs. I'm hungry for protein. I'm hungry for fats. My sugar's a little high. My sugar's a little low. She knows exactly the nutrients she needs to feel feel normal. And I forgot this word in the first service, but I remember it now. Homeostasis, right? Woo! All right, so she just restores homeostasis. She knows the exact thing she needs. And I had to admit to myself, very much like my wife and Jesus are very similar because they're more in tune with their bodies than I am. My body tells me stuff, I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, Russ. And so I had to admit that to myself. Okay. Power's gone out for me. The woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. So my vibe from this woman is that initially, she's being pretty sneaky, right? Why? She's super low in society. Just being a woman in general puts you pretty low. That this is not present day. This is a couple thousand years ago, all right? Women didn't have the same standing that they do today. So women, bottom of the barrel. Also, she's unclean, very much like our leper friend. No one wants to be near her, so she has to sneak. If she got found out, I imagine it'd be almost like a dance circle around her that would move with her, try to stay as far away as possible, like a little roaming circle of people trying to not get unclean too. Keep your distance or else you'll be unclean. And so she's sneaking around. She's maybe ashamed, but she knows that Jesus could heal her, and she wants to be unseen. But she also at the same time is doing this thing where she's like, if I sneak up and touch Jesus and I don't get healed, then he can go about his life not realizing he didn't heal me, and I can go about my life the same exact way I always have, completely unchanged. And so she's kind of like, what if it doesn't work type deal. And she does not belong in this group. She's unclean. You guys ever have a place where you don't belong? So Jesus, what's Jesus' reaction? He says, daughter, your faith has made you clean. Your faith has healed you. Go in peace. And I was thinking about what he says, and I'm like, what if instead of saying daughter, he said friend? He was like, friend, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. And I was thinking, that gives the crowd the ability, because all of a sudden, everyone's looking at Jesus to see what his response is. They're hearing the woman plead her case, like, oh yeah, I can't but touch you. I've been bleeding, and I just want to get healed. So everyone's listening. Crowd's super, crowded around her, listening to her talk to Jesus. And Jesus responds. Everybody wants to hear what he says. It's his chance to be like, you're unclean, get away from me. But he says daughter, but I'm going to pretend he said friend. What would happen if he said friend? All of a sudden, he gets put in a group with her, and people can say, oh, look who Jesus is friends with. He's friends with unclean people. Jesus must be unclean too. But instead, he takes it a step further. He says, daughter. And so where does this woman belong before right now? Well, kind of with outcasts, the unclean people. Where does she belong after this moment? Jesus calls her daughter. All of a sudden, she gets a free pass anywhere Jesus goes because she's Jesus' daughter, right? And real-life example of this is my wife is a soccer coach at Essex High School. And I take my two boys to all of our soccer games, and at halftime, without fail, all the kids run off the field to go meet with their coaches and stuff, have a halftime meeting. And my kids run onto the field. And first we're like, oh no, there are children running out onto the field. And then there's the grumpy people like, whoa, how dare they run out on the field? They're going to touch the ball, And then really grumpy. And then somebody will say, oh, that's the coach's kids. And they go, oh, look how cute they are, running around out there. Look how free they are running around, soccer players, coach's kids. Why? Because them being the coach's kids gives them a free pass to do whatever they want at the soccer game. They can pretty much interrupt the soccer game. People will be like, oh, look how cute they are, the coach's kids, right? Because they're the kids. Same thing with Jesus and this woman that he calls his daughter. She has a free pass anywhere he goes. She belongs anywhere he is because she's his daughter now. So she came to him with a problem. She had this bleeding. She wanted to get healed. And Jesus is like, you know what? I'm going to give you way more than that. I'm going to give you a place to belong forever. So I've been hesitant and reluctant to bring my life to Jesus, to bring my problems to Jesus because I've been ashamed. I've been too proud. I've been thinking about there's children in the world who don't have food or clean water or toilet paper, which is an injustice. And I'm like, Jesus doesn't want to waste his time. I don't want to waste his time. He has too many big things to worry about. And like I knew Jesus could heal me, but I was like, I just can't, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to waste his time. And then a couple years ago, I was jobless. I had just left this job working for a parachurch ministry with high school and middle school students. And the way it ended, I was like, I don't think I ever want to work with kids again. I don't think I could do it. And so started the hunt for a business job. I was going to go into business. I sent out, I said 100 resumes in my notes, but like really I sent more than 100 resumes out. I was applying everywhere. I was like, I need to get a job. And my backup plan was Starbucks. I was like, if I can't get a job, I'll just work at Starbucks. So I was like, I love coffee, and I love talking to people. I'm the embodiment of Starbucks, right? And then so I applied to Starbucks, and I didn't get the job at Starbucks, and I was like, no, that's my backup plan, right? I couldn't even get a job at Starbucks, and it sent me into this like really poor place of struggling with self-worth. So I was like, why does nobody want me? Starbucks doesn't even want me. Does Starbucks know me? How come if Starbucks knew me, they'd want me? And it's like, what's wrong with me? And then I had a bunch of friends from my last job. They were high up in companies, like thousands of employees. And I went and met with them, and they all gave me the same thing. They're all like, oh, I'd love to hire somebody like you, but we just don't have any open positions. And I'm like, how are all you guys in the same spot? You're not. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like, why don't you want to hire me? There's got to be something wrong with me. So I struggled with self-worth. I had a few promising interviews, but there was this one job I was chasing the whole time in Pennsylvania. I was in Connecticut this time. And I wanted it the whole entire time, and then finally, all of a sudden, I get the call, like, they want to interview me. I got a 4-hour drive there, a lot of time to think. And until this point, I just prayed to Jesus. I'm like, Jesus, would you just give me patience? Would you help calm my nerves for this interview? Whatever it was. But driving all the way there, I was like, man, this is a big deal. I gotta ask for like wisdom or something. So I start talking to Jesus. I'm like, Jesus, would you give me wisdom? Would you show me where I'm supposed to be? Because this is a big move. I had one kid at that point, and I was like, if I'm gonna uproot his life, even though he's like a baby, he's like 1, it's got to be for the right thing. I was like, would you just give me wisdom? Help me out. So I get to the interview. It's going great. I've been interviewed for hours by like 5 or 6 people. And then the boss comes in. We start having this like the last leg of the interview. It's going wonderful. And then he asked me this question. He says, if you don't get this job, what are you going to do? And all of a sudden, like my heart was like, blah, 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 blah. And it was like instant. I said the first thing that came out of my mouth. I was like, I'm going to go work with kids. I'm going to go work with students. And he was surprised. And I was surprised, and we had a little surprise moment together, and because I never expected to say that. And so from that point on, I was like, I don't care that I'm here. Like this interview doesn't matter to me whatsoever. And so I went along with the rest of the interview. It went awesome. As soon as I got in the car, I was like, this isn't for me. I'm supposed to go work with kids. I need to go work with kids right now. I can't wait. And so started driving home, and I didn't have like XM radio or anything interesting to do, and I'm someone who could easily fall asleep while driving. There's some people who could drive like long distances and stuff. I'd fall asleep. I can't do it. I can't stay awake. And so I was like, I got to make it home. And so I just turned on the radio. My wife told me I had to share this because of my feelings about K-Love. I'm not a fan of K-Love. Like no K-Love hate here, but like it's a Christian radio station, and for some reason I just can't stand listening to it. And I happen to turn on the radio, and I'm in this random town in Pennsylvania, and K-Love comes on, and it's this song. The lyrics say, there's hope for you yet because God won't forget all the plans he's made for me. I'll have to wait and see. He's not finished with me yet. And I'm like, crying. I'm like, why, K-Love? And this is usually the point where people call into K-Love and say, like, oh, your radio station touched me so much. And I'm like, that's the part I hate the most about K-Love. So it's like I can't do that. And that's why I didn't even want to talk about it today. But she said that I should. And I was like, I'll give you that. I'll talk about it. But it really was like a transformational moment. It's like I knew Jesus had a plan for me. And this K-Love moment really just like sent me over the top. And so I was driving home, and I was remembering being in college, and one of my professors told me about this website where people post youth ministry positions. And I was like, I'm just going to go on and see what people are looking for. It's like, I don't know if I even have like the qualifications and stuff. And so I started scrolling through. Just one more page, and I'll go to bed. just one more page and I'll go to bed. So I know all of us have done this. I'll just go one more page and I'll go to bed, right? And so 16 pages deep, scrolling down, I see this position for a middle school pastor in Essex, Vermont. And I'm like, middle school kids make me uncomfortable. I'll check it out. Honest, you guys laugh, but you know it's true. All of you guys are uncomfortable around middle school kids. So hypothetically speaking, let's say there's a group of middle school kids walking down the street towards you. Do you not cross the street? Honestly, they're terrifying, okay? That's how I felt about middle school kids. I was like, I can't do this. They're scary. But it makes me uncomfortable. I'll just apply. Why not? And so I sent in my resume. It's bad. It's a bad resume. I know. It's been rejected a lot of times. And the next morning, I wake up, and I have a voicemail from Pastor Greg. He also works here, if you guys don't know him. And around 100 resumes, right? A lot more. I'm just going to say 100. Over and over again, too ashamed, too hurt to ask Jesus for help. And I knew he could help me, but what if I didn't like the answer? What if he told me I was going to go work with kids again? Like, what about that? I don't want to do that. That's scary. I was hurt super last time. And one resume after talking to Jesus. It's ridiculous, right? End up getting a job. I love middle school kids. I love them so much. I love being here. I love living in Vermont. I love raising my kids in Vermont. And I love all the allergen-friendly restaurants and stores, right? Gluten Freedom friends, I know who you are. And I have a job that I look forward to coming to every single day. There's not a time where I take time off or where I have a day off where I'm like, I'm going to go to work tomorrow. Like, yeah, got to go to work tomorrow. I'm like excited and motivated to go to work tomorrow. And I've never been in that place before. And just like Jesus gave the leper a full life, and all he asked to be clean, and the woman was bleeding, he gave her a full life, a place to belong, when all she wanted to do was be healed, and she didn't want to approach him. He gave me a full life when I finally came to him. I never expected it. And just like before with the other things I share in my life, Jesus has time and again showed that he is willing to heal me. Not that just he can, but that he's willing. And so Hebrews 13:8 says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I know it's true. And I hope you guys find out that it's true as well. And so something I want to do with you guys right now, it's only going to take 60 seconds, is there may have been something that popped into your head over the last however long it's been. I'm going to say 5 minutes. Over the last 5 minutes that I've been talking, right? I'm not good at telling time. And it may have popped in your head. Maybe it's something you've been holding on to for a while. Maybe it's something that you've been struggling with, or something that just seems like so trivial. You're like, you just wouldn't want to waste his time with this. There's people without toilet paper. Or that Jesus wouldn't care, or that maybe you're ashamed about it. I want to give you guys the opportunity to have 60 seconds of silence, just to think about and bring those things to Jesus, because we know Jesus is willing. You just got to bring it to him. All right, so I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds of silence to process this. Then I'm going to close with a prayer, all right? Jesus, thank you for being the same yesterday, today, and forever. We know you're willing. Thank you for healing the leper. Thank you for healing the woman who was bleeding, God, and just giving them a place to belong and a full life when all they had was a simple problem. I pray that these simple problems we offer up to you that you would give us a full life out of it. Thank you so much for what you've done with us already. And we pray that throughout the week that we would just have stuff come to our minds that we could bring over and over again to your throne, because you are willing. Thank you so much for being who you are. Amen. And one last thing before you go. If you are new here, or you haven't really gotten connected, I'd love to meet you. I'm pretty not intimidating. I actually don't know. Am I intimidating? No, I don't know. So come up, say hello. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to get you connected. And thank you so much for coming. Have an awesome week.